Hello and welcome to Gundog Nation. This is Kenneth Witt, and I'm coming to you from Texas. I want you to know that Gundog Nation is more than just a podcast. It's a movement to unite those who want us to watch a well-trained dog do what it's bred to do. Also, we are set out to try to encourage youth to get encouraged in the sport of gun dogs, whether it's hunting, competition, trials, hunt tests, all the above. This is a community of people that are united to preserve our heritage of gun dog ownership and also to be better gun dog owners. So if you'll stay tuned to all of our episodes, we're going to have people on here to educate you about training, about nutrition, health, anything that can make you a better gun dog owner. It's my pleasure to welcome our listeners, and please join our community. All right, welcome to Gundog Nation. Kenneth Witt live here from Texas. I've got Landon Poplin over in North Carolina, and we're going to have somebody on here. We'd like to diversify our podcast and, not just, we got a lot of retriever people. I'm mostly a retriever person myself, and it's going to be very interesting to hear Landon's background, what he does, and what he took to the grand. And what he took to a season level test, which it's going to be impressive. We'll talk about that. Before we do, I just want to give a quick shout. The music you hear on the beginning of my podcast, I've never said this, and I feel so bad for not giving credit, but the music you hear on the beginning of this podcast and the end is by a really good friend of mine named Sean Brock. I played bluegrass years ago back in Eastern Kentucky, and Sean was right across the mountain from me on the Harlan side in Harlan County, and we were over in Leslie County. He's phenomenal. The guy can play. I don't even deserve to carry his case. But Sean Brock is truly a virtuoso. The guy can play anything. He can go in a studio and record an album. He writes jingles and stuff. And I asked him to give me a couple songs, instead of using somebody else's. So the song on the intro to the podcast is, and now this is some hot, real famous guys, if you know bluegrass. One is Sean Brock playing almost everything except the dobro is Jerry Douglas. Jerry Douglas is a Grammy Award winner. He's played for Allison Krauss for years. When you see a bluegrass band on TV, it's Jerry Douglas is usually playing dobro. He's the best, one of the best. Rob Ickes is also top of my book. But and then the banjo player on here is Scott Vestal. Only probably true bluegrass players know who that is, but he is one of the best also, just phenomenal banjo player. Again, I wouldn't carry his case. I don't have that kind of talent. And then the hat I'm wearing, I'm putting it on tonight, even though I look goofy, these headphones on too. I've got so many compliments and people ask me about it. I've got to give credit to the lady that custom made this hat in Mississippi. It's ML Provisions, and you can get a hold of Mary down there. She makes custom. She learned out west. Actually, I think the hat says in it, inspired by the West and made in the South. So she spent years out west making cowboy hats and any kind of hat. She does derby hats and whatever you want, she's got it. And I've got some custom cowboy hats from Texas and Colorado and New Mexico. And actually, it's funny, Barton Ramsey was talking about her, and I was like, man, I'm going to check her stuff out. Excellent. And I've had people from England. I only had this hat for a week and a half. I've had people stop me in the airport. I had a guy from England message me on TikTok. Man, I love that hat, and he was a dog trainer. So anyway, I'm going to give her a big thank you and give her credit for that. All right, that's enough of that stuff. And I'm not getting paid for that. That's just me thanking people that's been good to me. And Landon, man, you've been really nice to me. We talked, and you'd messaged me on Facebook, and you did something I hope everybody does. You were suggesting something for the podcast, and I really appreciate that because, listen, I'm always open to people's ideas. I'm definitely not a know-it-all, and I never will be, and I don't ever act that way, right? So I love when people have suggestions, and I responded to him, but yes, I definitely want to have – I'm getting ready to have a guy on here that has dogs that does mountain lions and bears up in New Mexico, those a lot of plot hound kind of dogs. But right. They're different levels. But anyway, Landon, I'm gonna let you introduce yourself, tell where you are, who you are, where you're from, what you do. Then we're gonna start digging in because you've got a very interesting history. But what I'm gonna say about Landon, I'm gonna brag on before you get started. What this guy's accomplished in Landon, correct me if I'm wrong, 5 years?
Roughly. Yeah, just under 5 years.
Under less than 5 years of training. When you listen to his story, it will blow you away. It'll make all of us old guys or guys that's been training for more than 5 years feel completely inadequate. I told him I may have to go to, remedial dog training courses to try to catch up with you, but amazing. So let's hear it. I'll talk no more. Landon, take the floor.
I'm Landon Poplin. I'm from Hamptonville, North Carolina, just outside of Winston-Salem, a little north of Charlotte. I own and operate Wirehaired Outdoors, train all breeds, obedience training. But my main focus is duck dogs and versatile breeds in the retrieving aspect.
Okay. Now, when you started off, were you like everybody else? You started with a retriever, or what'd you start with?
Growing up, I always had labs. We had a few bloodhounds, a few basset hounds we ran deer with, but squirrel hunted with, stuff like that. But my training, when I started almost 5 years ago now, I got a Wirehair, German Wirehair pointer. And,
all right. What's his name?
His name is Harker, Harker, like Harker's Island, just off the coast of North Carolina. So that's where I grew up duck hunting.
Oh, wow. Is that, I might sound stupid, is that saltwater, I guess?
It is saltwater.
You know, Landon, I heard a guy, what they call him, the pit boss guy up in Maryland or Delaware
Jeff
area.
Coates.
Yeah. Talking about those sea ducks. And I was like, man, I didn't know you could duck hunt in saltwater. And then I heard talk about somebody's lab getting taken out by a shark. And I'm like, well, maybe I don't want to do saltwater, but we'll talk about that too. That's interesting to me.
Right.
So when you got this Wirehair, when you got Harker, was it a pup?
Yeah, I got him at 12 weeks old. And man, we started obedience training, the simple stuff, and contacted a local pro, and he kind of told me a few steps to go through. And then I got into force fetch, and he helped me along with that. And I just kind of ran with it from there, trained with him 4 or 5 days a week. And he's like, man, you ought to really kind of push Harker to his limit and see what this dog's all about. And then we jumped right into HRC head first. And man, it's been a journey from there.
You need to be my tutor, Landon. So you're over North Carolina. You're just a little bit north of Boykin country. Why?
North.
Why Wirehairs? I can't imagine North Carolina nor Kentucky, where I'm from, that there's a lot of Wirehairs or Wirehair breeders either. How'd you find them?
There's a few. I actually got really lucky. A guy I went to high school with bred this litter that Harker came from, and literally just went to high school with him. Lives 20 minutes from my house, and got lucky enough to get one of those dogs. And man, I wanted something that I like to be different. Yeah, I always like to be different, and labs are labs. There's nothing wrong with it. I own one. One of my many dogs that I own, but man, I wanted something that was a statement when I went out, and that could kind of show off him, nothing that I do, man, it's all him. But I wanted something that was versatile, that could track deer, shed hunt with me, pick up my ducks and geese, my swan, and then, point and retrieve upland birds as well.
It's funny you say you want to be different. I know that feeling. I don't know if I always follow that practice more. I probably should a lot more. My daughter, my youngest daughter, she's getting married here in a couple of days. But Morgan, my redhead, she's always like that. And she researched one in Airedale, which I got one last year, kept a year, but it started killing deer here at the ranch. And other than that, it's the best dog ever. I highly recommend them, but that's my bread and butter and my livestock here, and I couldn't have that. But so, Landon, your friend from high school, did you know this was hunting bloodlines and he had like champion bloodlines, or was it just backyard breeder? And I'm not trying to be condescending, but you didn't just go grab a dog off the street. Was this a hunting bred dog?
Yeah, it's strictly hunting bred. I've been researching the breed for about a year. I've been talking to people all across the country and just kind of filling people out. Was planning on going to meet a few of the breeders, watch some of their dogs work. And man, he posted those puppies on Facebook, and I was like, well, I'll just go look at them, watch the parents work. the field and the water. And he showed me some videos. And after those videos, watching the parents, man, and watching them work that day, I said, well, I'll let you know. And I called him on my way home. I said, I'll be back tomorrow to get that puppy.
So
So,
you just filled in the blanks of where I was going. You're an educated buyer. You know what you're doing. You said you researched about a year.
a year. Yep.
Okay. Now let's take listeners through the process, because the end game, the end story on this dog is it's something to hear. I mean, I when you told me that, I was like, I thought you was joking. I was like, no, that dog didn't win that. But anyway, I'll let you talk, Landon. Tell us how you did it and what you did.
So like I said, I started with the local pro there at home, and if anybody listening knows Tracy Hayes or Purple Hayes, you know who I'm talking about.
I like the
He's
name.
he's a character, but he helped me along the way get started, and along with many others, Steve Durance and Clark Kennington, all those guys helped me a lot. Jimmy Rogers, my friend
Those
back
are
home.
those are legends.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. My friend back home, Colt Simmons. I mean, he trained with me almost every day, and they've always been an advocate of Harker and I, and just really kept me going when I wanted to quit at times. Because man,
Those
I'll tell
days
you,
those days come, don't they?
yeah, trying teaching him to mark was not the problem. I mean, that fool can mark. I mean, I run SRS series with him, or trials now with him. We're
So
not haven't been super successful yet, but we're getting there. But yeah,
man,
so I would train with Tracy 4 or 5 days a week. If not him, I train with Colt, and every weekend I was doing something with that dog in the retriever world, as far as HRC is concerned.
so you just put the time in.
Oh, absolutely. And we still right now. I'm guiding down here at the plantation, so we'll be back home in March. So, they hunt 4 or 5 days a week here. And as soon as it's over here, we'll be grand prepping as soon as I get home, and we'll be at the Grand in Wisconsin in the spring. I think it's in May this spring.
I want to attend that, Landon. You please keep me posted, because
Oh,
I run
definitely.
around 10 different directions and I'm horrible.
Yeah.
So now that, how many months do you stay at the plantation there where you're guiding full time?
I'm here mid-October through the end of March.
And I mean, do you even get to go home or
Um,
occasionally?
Not much. I
Really?
went home. I did go home one day last week, and that was just I went to go pick up another dog to bring down here to hunt with. So
Do you run your own dogs at the plantation?
yes, sir. I have two wire hairs, a short hair, and an English cocker.
All right. So you're running Harker, I assume, daily there, right? Or no?
Man, I'm pretty selective now since he got that grand pass, and he did. Let's see, last year he did 187 hunts last season. I'm gonna probably keep that to around 120 some this year.
Okay.
Keep him
Reason
healthy for the spring.
reason I asked that, Landon, is do you feel like, and I'm trying to learn this part too. I'm getting ready to find out, because my dog's just spent several consecutive 7 days for several weeks running at South Dakota. When you're running your dogs every day like that in true hunting scenarios, retrieving birds at your job, when you get back and that's over and you're back to training world and competition world again, tell me, if do you have to do tune-ups? Is there some major reconstruction that you have to do? What do you have to do, if anything, to get the dogs back into trial mode versus live bird hunting mode?
As he's getting older now, it's becoming easier for that transition. Now, when I first started here three seasons ago, that it was tough.
I've always heard that from guys like you that are guides and
Right.
running. What's
Um,
different? Tell me what you see that's different that you have to fix.
well, as the saying goes, hunting always erodes training. Always.
Amen.
And now, granted, is he breaking on the shots and stuff like that? No.
Okay.
However, when I make him heel to my side right out of the dog box, and I say hunt him up, he's got 700 acres to hunt as much as he wants to hunt, and you know he's just. I mean, you're just giving him free reign. Now, if I can squeeze in a blind, run a cold blind on a bird every now and then that the cocker didn't get, and the cover's thin enough I can see him the whole time. I mean, I'll run that cold blind in a heartbeat just to get that little control back into the hunt.
Oh, so you're doing it for control to keep some discipline.
Right. And, you're finding a tiny little quail in broom straw and Indian blue stem. So, I get him to the area and then I tell him to hunt it up or fetch if I know pretty much exactly where it is. And then he'll, sniff around, which I know people in the retrieval world, if they're listening, that just made them cringe because you're letting them hunt at the end of a blind. But, I mean, that's what tune-ups for after season are for. We tighten that back up before we go to the grand.
How many days or so, how long does it generally take to get them tuned back trial ready or test ready?
To my standard, probably two months.
Wow.
2 months to where he's not trying to go independent, that when we were coming through our training, when we first started all this, to segue back to that, getting a bird dog or versatile breed, and labs do it too now, but labs don't test their independence as much as these versatile breeds do when you're trying to teach them how to do force to pile, T work, pattern blinds. And then when you strictly transition over to those cold blinds and they go into hunt mode and that tail starts cracking, that nose goes down, you blow that whistle to try to get them to stop. That's another ball game when it's not a lab.
Is that because labs generally hunt closer, as they're just bred to hunt closer than pointy breeds and other breeds?
I don't think it's that. In my opinion, from my experience with the different breeds I've trained, is just they're more independent. Labs like, okay, yes, sir. What do you want me to do?
Yeah.
They might get a little hunt savvy on a blind every now and then, but a little collar correction or a whistle sit, tweet them back to you. They're okay. Well, you changed my mind. Where you want me to go?
Okay.
Whereas that bird dog, Wirehaired, Boykins, they want to go in that hunt mode and be independent and say, hey, I got this. Watch. And like, nah, you don't quite have it yet. So.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. So I've not got any experience with that breed, but I sent you some pictures. We did some photo stuff last week in Alabama, and I sent you a picture of a dog. It's so funny. The guy said, I'm going to let you work this dog. And he had it stuck its head out the window of his truck. I said, dang, that's a big boykin. He said, that's not a boykin. And I sent you a picture of it. I'd never seen one, nor had I ever heard one. And I know my dogs. I know the breeds. Might not like you. I don't know, but I know what that breed is when I see it. And it was the German word is Dutch, like Lockhart, but basically a German long hair.
German long hair, yeah.
Yeah. And man, what a versatile breed. We had that dog picking up quail that setters weren't picking up and were pointing. And actually, they weren't picking the birds up. They couldn't find them. And finally, the guy said, hey, see if he'll do it. That dog picked up. He retrieved every bird shot but one. And there were setters working it. But it made me think about you. I was wondering if there's similarities. I know it's a different breed, but they're bred from what I researched and talked to him. And the boy knew the guy. He works for Retriever Supply. Really nice guy. He really researched that breed, but they're a very versatile. They use them for coyotes. Like they'll finish. Yeah. They're so gamey, they'll finish off and kill a coyote and retrieve it. I think about a dog that would retrieve a coyote and a quail and a dove, without being mouthy and destroying it. It was amazing. I love the dog, and it's calm and chill but it'll hunt till it falls. You know,
Oh yeah.
so or would you think is that similar to the wire hairs or?
Oh, absolutely. Harker sleeps in the bed beside me every night. So,
Okay. Yeah, yeah. When you see them, you don't think that they're like, you know how labs are. They're jacked up, juiced up. Mine are, and you don't see, you know, you don't see that. My dogs, you're not going to see that much.
right. But now, I mean, when they get on something the fur game, that's a different switch. It flips in their head, and and I have a half sister of Harker. Her name is Freya, and she's rough and tough. She'll fight anything and everything. She don't care how big or little it is. She's going to kill it and bring it back to you. But then you shoot a duck or goose or whatever, like you just said, gentleness can be bring it right to you and put it right in your hand.
I mean, isn't that crazy that that dog that they have that distinction? So, what was the first title you put on Harker?
His started title.
Okay, and how old was he when you got your started on him?
He was like 7, just under 8 months.
Okay, and then you
He
went
was a baby.
season.
Yeah. And now it was a little bit of a transition time. So he was probably, I think he was around 11 months old when we went to season.
Okay.
And then he knocked that out pretty quick, and we moved on to finished.
And then after finished, how was he at the finish level? You got a finish title on him.
He got his finish title at 15 months old.
Wow.
And he would at that time, I don't know now, but at the time, he was the 5th Wirehaired to ever get a finish title.
Wow.
So the only other ones were Jimmy Rogers I can't remember, but Jimmy Rogers put 2 on a Wirehaired and Clark Kennington put 1 on a Wirehaired, or Clark did 2 and Jimmy did 1. And a fellow by the name of Lynn Nightdale had another one.
Oh, wow. So most of those guys you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I've talked to Lynn, but I've never met him.
So you didn't stop there. What next?
No, we kept pushing, and everybody said, "Man, you should just." I said, well, "I'm gonna go watch the Grand." And they said, "Man, if you're gonna spend the time and money to go out there, you might as well just enter your dog and see what happens." And so our first Grand was in Music City, right there in Nashville, Tennessee, and we made it to the 4th series on our first Grand. So 4th series out of 5, I was pretty happy.
Yeah.
And he was 2 years old. So
did you have a lot of? I mean, I'm sure the judge's eyebrows are raised, and a lot of people just freaking out that you had that dog there competing.
Oh yeah, they called at that Grand. Let's see, they always have a new hashtag for Harker at every Grand, just about. I think that Grand they called him the hippie of the Grand because the big old beard and
yeah,
big eyebrows, and so they called him the hippie of the Grand.
Now, how many Grands has he competed in now?
This past fall was our 5th.
Wow.
So
Landon, you're the only guy that's put a Grand title on a German Wirehaired pointer.
Grand pass. You got to pass the Grand twice to get the title.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. I've not got that high, so I'm still learning. You'll have to educate me.
Right. So Harker was the first German Wirehaired to ever run the Grand, and now he's the first to ever pass the Grand.
Nice.
As a 4-year-old at that.
So. And you're going to keep going with him?
Oh, absolutely.
And you said earlier you do SRS with him too.
Yeah, we ran 2 SRS this past year. He put himself out on one test, and then I made a mistake and put us out on the other one. But he didn't do too bad. I mean, we've kind of created a little bit of a monster with the white coat field trial setups, which after hunting season, we're gonna talk to some pros that know a whole lot more than I do to try to fix that problem. But
Yeah, there's a couple guys. One of them I had on here. It's not been released yet. But I had Rody Best is coming out on with an episode with me,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
and then I got Luke coming too. And actually, Luke and I have been kind of like me and you. We had to reset 2 or 3 times. I got sick there several weeks, and anyway, those guys. When you hear SRS, you hear their names mentioned in the same paragraph.
Right.
So
Right.
being a guy that's and you've got an English cocker too.
I do.
Now, explain to people because I'm getting ready to have some more cocker folks on here. I'm gonna have Jay on here from Raglan Gundogs.
Right.
Jay, shoot. I talk to so many people today. It'll hit me in a minute, but can't think of his last name. It's killing me. It'll hit me in a second. But how would you compare? You've obviously got lab experience, and now you got quite a bit of Wirehaired experience too. What about the cockers? How are they in comparison especially when you're at the plantation?
The way I describe it to people is a tiny little bundle of joy, but when you say that word back or whatever your flush word Q is, they turn into a Tasmanian devil.
Wow. I've
They
heard there's
just,
something to watch and work and cover.
man, the pointers make a hunt too, but you talking about putting those birds up for clients and putting on a show. Those cockers put on a show. That's for sure.
Are this kind of dramatic?
Yeah.
Would you say?
Oh yeah.
I,
I
I,
mean,
I've got one coming. I don't have it yet, but I'm real
mhm.
excited because everybody I talk to, Landon, like you, says the same thing about cockers. And it's people that are lab guys or whatever, but they're trying to cocker and they're all like, man,
Oh yeah.
everybody
I
loves it.
mean, now that I've worked here, I will probably always own a cocker. Always.
Wow. And why is that?
Man, you can have the worst day and you just let that little sucker out of the kennel, out of the dog box, wherever you're at, and just watch the thing run around the field and it'll crack you up. And I mean, for me, that if I'm having a rough and tough day training or, had a tough day out here at the plantation hunting, it's been hot and dry here. So
Yeah.
it's been hard to find some birds until this week. But man, they just brighten my day. They really
They,
do.
they look kind of animated, like just, yeah. Well, as far as now, and so I've talked to lots of people like you about the drive, about, that excitement that they have. What about trainability? How do you compare training a cocker to wire hairs, pointers, labs?
I would
Did
say the hardest thing to teach them to do is sit still and be steady.
Yeah, I can
Everything
see
else
that.
they soak up like a sponge. Now, when it's time when we're hunting in the field, she's rock solid.
Okay.
She'll back my pointer. If a pointer is off, running through the cover, and she smells a bird out in front of us, she'll actually point.
She'll back a pointer
She'll back a pointer,
and
and
point.
then and my dogs will back her on
Wow.
whenever she goes on point.
Man, I'd like to see that. I had no idea that they would do that. I just assumed they were
Oh yeah.
quarter and flushing and retrieving.
I mean, it's not a super stylish point,
Yeah,
but
but the heck's
it's a point.
so. Would you say highly intelligent?
Very,
Okay.
very intelligent.
Would you say more so? We don't want to offend people here, but you say more so than even a lab, or I know every dog's different, right? I mean, you can't. It's like comparing
Um,
people.
Man, I don't know. It'd be close.
Okay,
It'd be close.
but Rich, so the only thing that you see more difficult in training them versus anything else is just getting that steadiness in, but just because they're such a fireball.
Oh yeah. I
Okay.
mean, you get a rare one. George High Plantation here's got one, and man, he just cruises right along. Doesn't exert any extra energy. When I say back, he's gone,
Wow.
and he's putting those birds up for those clients.
Well, Landon, you and I talked about this on the phone a little bit, and I crane hunted back in January with a guy from South Carolina. And what I'm seeing from I read a lot and follow internet so much about dogs, and I see a lot of cockers in the South, a lot in Georgia, Carolinas. It seems like that's where they're really just spreading like wildfire. Is that so? Is that what you think you're
Most
seeing?
definitely. As you said, is Raglan gun dogs, right?
Yeah, and he's up in Illinois, but I bet he sells a lot
Yeah.
of dogs down that way.
He's helped the market grow a lot.
Yes.
And then what I tell people, the queen of the English Cocker is Diane Gates out in Grand Junction, Tennessee.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That's who my Cocker came from, and that dog Batman that was national field trial or national champion, Rocket Man, and all those other dogs all come from her lines, and she's got some
Well,
aces.
you gave me her number. I'm going to reach out.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
Man, I know Tennessee, especially East Tennessee, as well as I do Kentucky. Where is Grand Junction? I can't. Where
It's
that's
about
at?
an hour, probably about an hour, 15 minutes east of Memphis.
Okay, is it all off of 40 or
I don't
no?
remember. I was in
You
Arkansas when I left and went
come
and
up.
visited. Um, where I actually left Arkansas on the way home from duck hunting and stopped in and went to the Bird Dog Hall of Fame. That's where they have the nationals every year. But when I met Diane, I got to meet John Rex Gates, which the statue in front of the Bird Dog Hall of Fame is of him. So,
Wow,
and his brother was Robin Gates, which is the all time points leader in the Hall of Fame. So,
man, what a heritage there. So I drive a lot from Memphis, coming out of Texas. A lot of times, if I drive home, I'll drive Memphis to Nashville on 40. And I'm just trying to figure because I drive through there a lot.
right.
I have
I
to
can't
look at it
remember
on a map.
exactly where.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you should definitely stop in and
Yeah.
talk to Diane and John Rex.
Okay. Um, I guess I was trying to think what there's so much I could talk to you about. I guess let's talk about. Do you think you'll probably take the Cocker and do tests and stuff also would compete with her too for him?
I've thought about it, but I've got a young lab in training. Trying to get her trans. We're working on T work right now, and then hopefully within about another week we'll be transitioning to pattern blinds. So I'm trying to get her ready and hopefully run maybe some season tests this spring, maybe some finish tests if I think she's ready, and then
Now,
maybe
so when you're buying a pup land and like a lab, you've talked about you search for the point that even the long hair, the wire hair. What do you look for? Tell the listeners what you look for when you're trying to get a pup.
on labs I look for a super hot female, just an absolute just fire breather. And then on the male side, I mean, fire breather, but still, still is intelligent.
Yes.
I mean, you got to have some brains about you if you're a fire breather. But on the dad side, I want something that's going to be cool, calm, and collective, tall. I want something that can stand up at the line and look out there and be able to mark something at 400 if it needs to, or whatever. Because essentially, I'm looking for something that I'm going to run in the SRS one day.
Okay. So you were looking for athleticism,
Absolutely.
and then I tell everybody, that like you're talking about the female, I always call it managed insanity.
Yeah.
I want a dog that's when her tailgate drops, she'll do what I say, but it's managing insanity. She's just ripped up, ready to go, or he,
Right.
and
Right.
I love
And
that.
growing through the HRC, training with my friend Colt Simmons, his dog Piper. Um, she's a big red female, and I always wanted a dog out of her. And he finally decided to breed her, and ended up going to Steve Eric's dog Scratch. Actually, just passed away several months or a few months ago. Big black male, just cool, calm, collective. Went out there, hammered his marks, ran his blinds, and just he could do it all. And then Piper is that fire breathing dragon.
I've heard seem like I've seen that dog on some stuff. I've got my first American dogs. I've had all British. We talked about that a little bit, but I've got a son of Floyd
Floyd, yep.
that won. I think he won the national this weekend.
He just did. He sure did.
And that's his second U.S. and he's won two national champions in Canada. He's a Canadian national champion, won it this year and last year.
Right.
But I've got to hunt this dog upland, in South Dakota. I'm gonna go up one more time before season's over with him and do it again. But he's got a great off switch. But gosh, son, when it's birds on the ground, I mean he's really good. And I guess maybe I'm used to my British labs, which I love, but he's a giant. I mean,
Oh yeah.
My British male can almost walk under him. I mean, I've never seen the lab that big, and I haven't weighed him yet, but I think you would like him by what you're describing. He can jump, run. He's huge, and he's not heavy. He's not
tall
blocky.
And lean.
Yeah, he's lean. Matter of fact, I'm laying the groceries to him. Got him on 30-20, feeding him like crazy, supplementing his food with sardines and stuff, and I can't. But my buddy who's got some of them in South Dakota said, till he gets about a year and a half old, that's how it is. He said, you can't hardly keep weight on.
Yeah.
So,
well, if you get that dog food switched over like we were talking about, you might be able to.
Hopefully me and you'll have another go on here and we can talk about that dog food.
Right.
Yes, I hope so. So you got a cocker in the kennel, more than one Wirehaired, and a lab. How many are you running?
And then I've got my oldest dog, Riggs. He's a lot of people's favorites out of mine just because he's a personality of his own.
Is he the half and half?
Yep, he's half German Shorthair, half lab.
Now, that's what I want to talk about. I'm glad we got on that. We accidentally got on that topic because that's something I definitely want to talk to you about. So you've got a half breed, half and half. And that dog's got hunt titles, correct?
Yeah, he's got a season title.
So tell us about that. I assume that's extremely uncommon in the hunt test world.
I think
or is it?
There's not many.
Okay.
And I think there's only been one mixed breed that's ever ran the Grand. Now, I don't know if Riggs will ever run the Grand just because he's mostly a setup dog. When we hunt here at home, we're little wood duck holes and stuff like that. I take Riggs a good bit. He goes on my personal upland hunts because he will point and he will flush when I say his name and retrieve. He does agility work. He does dock diving. And he shed hunts with my whole crew. So he's all around he's an awesome dog.
And how
he doesn't get he is, let's see, he'll be 7 in February.
And how'd you end up with that? Was it an accident or?
Yeah, it was an accident. The last short hair I ever had, my neighbor and I's communication got lost one day and dogs got turned out and got gone. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I kept him out of the litter and he was my hunting dog for a while. And then I wanted something to where I took him on a swan hunt and he brought me my swan, but it was difficult for him to get that almost 30-pound bird back to me.
Jeez.
And so I wanted something that was big and, could do the job consistently. But also, and at that time, I didn't even know he could point. It wasn't until I started running Harker in, upland training, and I just let Riggs run around. He just started pointing birds.
When you said that swan's that heavy, is that bigger than a crane?
Height-wise, no. I would say wingspan's probably a little bit bigger. They're about almost 8-foot wingspan.
Wow. So, and probably a little bit heavier, maybe, or no?
Yeah, I'd say average crane's probably 25 pounds.
Yeah, I mean, I've hunted a bunch of crane. I didn't know what they weigh. They're big birds. But
yeah,
I've
never hunted cranes, so
I tell you what. Won't you holler at me? Let's. I've tried a couple places, but to me, Lubbock, Texas is It's like, to me, it's like the Huron, South Dakota pheasant. It's loaded with crane.
Loaded.
I mean, yeah. And there's some. I've found a really good guide up there that I really like. He uses retrievers and doesn't use. A lot of those dogs have goggles because they'll lose their eyes to cranes.
Yeah.
And his dogs doesn't. I was like, man, why in the world did you have? And I'm gonna have him on there one day. He said his dogs, all he does is hunt them, so they'll duck and dive, and they know to watch that foot.
They figured it out.
Yeah. And I watched them. Like, you shoot one, because them cranes, man, they're about like Rambo. You have to shoot one 8 or 9 times, and
Right.
If they're not dead, they're fierce to reckon with. Anyway, so I definitely wouldn't want to pick up a crane that's not dead.
Right.
I have no desire.
They're going to go for your eyes every time.
Yeah. But no, let's do that. I enjoy it, and the meat is worth every penny that you have to spend to go crane hunting.
I've had a piece of that now, and that's where it's at.
It's
as far as the waterfowl goes, that is where it's at.
And I've not had every type of waterfowl, but I can't imagine anything better.
Yeah, I don't. The duck don't come close to that.
Now down there at the plantation, what all birds do you get to hunt there? What do you?
We're just quail.
Okay. Don't do
just
pheasant.
Quail. No. We did do a pre-release of some chucker this year, and there's been a few we've seen around, but we haven't killed any.
Well, the ones you released, you didn't kill them at all?
No, we've seen some feathers and seen them running through the edge of the woods, but we haven't killed any. So
nice. Now you also are a pro trainer, correct?
Yes, sir.
And so I guess you compete in the pro trainer side, not the amateur side, obviously.
Right.
Okay. Landon, tell people how, if they want to, I know you're probably limited on your training because you're a busy man, but if people want to get in touch with you, look up your, contact, whatever, how do they do that?
So as far as social media goes, you can find me at Wirehaired Outdoors, Facebook or Instagram. If you want my personal page, Landon Poplin on Instagram or Facebook. I am very limited to the dogs that I take. I take a maximum of 6 client dogs at a time, just because I have a formal obedience session every day. We have at least typically a land and water setup, depending on the weather. So I try to have 3 formal sessions of training every day.
That's a lot. But that's good your money's worth.
And then there's some days we don't, but we might do a land series and some drill work after that, or what have you. Just depends on how the dogs are doing and what I think they might need a little tune up on something.
Yeah, okay. And then if they want to come out there and hunt with you at the plantation, how do they do that?
Just give us a call on George High Plantation. We're here in Garland, North Carolina. Just talk to Nancy over in the lodge, and she'll try to get you penciled in. We're pretty slam full, but there's a few days here and there we can pencil people in.
Okay. When they stay, I've not got to check that website out, so I'll go do that. But what all do you get when you hunt there? Is it lodging?
Yeah, so you can kind of make it however you want it. You can have half-day hunts, full-day hunts. We have lodging in the main lodge. We have small cabins and a quail cottage you can rent out as well. And then, we have our 5-star meals 3 times a day.
Oh, son, if I was out there, I'd look like Junior Samples. I'd be about 350.
Yeah, if you leave here hungry, there's something wrong.
Oh, how do you stand it? Well, I guess you're walking all day long.
Yeah, I probably average 10 miles a day here at the plantation. So,
okay, that gives me another thing to talk about. What do you wear? What kind of boots you packing?
Man, this year I've always wore Crispies, and Hoka come out with a new fully waterproof boot. And I've been trying it out the last week, and I like it a lot. So far, which the ground here's not rocky or anything like that. It's just sandy and grass. It's hilly, but other than that, I mean, I don't need a super stiff boot. But the crispy Laponias, that's my go-to. And then, man, I don't remember what series these Hokas are, but it's the only waterproof boot they make.
Okay.
And I'm liking them pretty good.
I saw, is it called On Cloud?
Yeah, On Cloud's got a waterproof boot now.
I saw that. I tell you, and I don't know if you listened to my first episode with Scott Neighbor up in South Dakota.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I didn't know what a crispy was, and I'd hunted with him for 2 years, and he'd made a post, and we talked about it on there. But anyway, long story short, he posted about the durability of those boots, and it even got some of the guys on there. It's like, hey man, don't tell all these people this stuff. We give our secret away. And so anyway, I was like, I've learned that I got a pretty good discount on them through military through Guidefitter,
Right.
and so I've got the Laponias, and I didn't know what to buy because he didn't tell me which ones, and I don't even think he knew the model he had at the time. But
Right.
I just got in there looking, and so I got to hunting them last month for 3 days. Up there walking, 6
Right.
miles a day roughly or something like that.
Yeah.
So far, I love them.
Man, they're tough. This is now I wear insoles out quick. I mean,
Okay.
I'm 6'2", like 280. So, I mean,
Okay.
I'm a big fella.
Yeah.
And, the boots, this is my third season hunting in those boots.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and I don't know I know you hunt a lot. Scott was telling me he does 105 days, and it's all upland, you are too, and pheasant. And he had his mileage on his watch. I can't remember what it was, but I believe it's, don't quote me, but like 600, 800, between 600 and 800 miles, something crazy. And you probably do that too. But now I'm liking them. I wore them at the ranch here. I was walking an hour and a half in them for about 4 weeks before I went hunting. And,
Right.
And there wasn't really to break them in because everybody said you don't have to break them in.
No.
But man, I'm a fan. I don't, and I went in that we don't have it down here in Texas, and y'all don't have them in North Carolina. At least I don't think those shields. We need.
No, we don't have shields. No.
I need a sponsor there too. Don't listen.
That's right.
You talk about redneck paradise. It makes Cabela's and Bass Pro look empty. And
Really?
those guys told me that I was going to run to Cabela's up there in Sioux Falls because I was driving up with dogs, and they was like, "Buddy, there ain't nothing there. You go to Shields." Oh my gosh! But there was people buying all the hunters. It was the day before opening day. Man, they was in there buying them Krispies. It was like somebody buying a half price cheeseburgers at Wendy's or something. It was just going out the door. It was crazy. And so everybody's buying upland clothes, but I think you can buy stuff from Shields online, and I don't get paid by Shields, and they don't even know me. But man, I'm a fan. That's a cool store. Anything
I have to
you
check
want.
that out.
Oh man, dog stuff. I grabbed a leash in there. They're good, and their prices are good too. Everybody's nice. I'm telling you, I've never ever been in an outdoor store, hunting supplies, sporting goods stuff that big in my lifetime. And that was just one of the stores. I mean, they're all like that, they say.
Right.
But yeah,
Daggone.
yeah, and like Guidefitter, we get those big discounts, but a lot of times we're limited on the models. Like it might not have this model, that model. But
they got the new stuff. That Mountain GTX they come out with this year. Sucker sold out literally in 3 days.
I tried to get it on Guidefitter.
Yeah, sold out on Guidefitter in 3 days.
Says notify me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Those look nice. Is that the gray one? And then one had gray and had like a red on the bottom.
That's what I'm talking about. Yep.
Oh gosh, yeah, that's what I wanted. Plus, I just thought it looked cool, And I'm an old school kind of guy with colors, but man, I kind of like that gray and a little flash. But
yeah.
Anyway,
now those Hoka boots, they're a little flashy. They're kind of like a yellowish tan kind of color.
Yeah.
But they make a black one too. But I mean, with all the stuff I got to wear here, the black don't really go too well with it. So
yeah. Well, I just wonder, like them and the On Clouds too, and I've got On Cloud tennis shoes. But I just wonder if they're durable. Like Krispies, they're made for the mountains. I guess it's yet to be seen. And they
Right.
might be the best thing ever, but I just wonder how they'll be.
I'll let you know how the Hokas do. I mean,
Yeah,
they're going to be. I mean, walking through this broom straw and all that all day long. I mean, it's tough on a tennis shoe type made
yeah,
boot. I imagine it's going to be tough on it, but I'm going to see just how
yeah.
tough they are.
And that's what I was thinking too. And I was in a shoe store, got one of those REIs or something. I was
Hmm.
traveling somewhere, and I tried on those Hokas, and man, they're like platforms. I felt like I was Gene Simmons' Kiss, with the big boots on. I was like,
Yeah,
man, these are odd. Are those sort of the boots that thick, like those giant thick soles?
very close,
Okay,
very
but yeah,
close.
I just thought it looked funny. I got the on cloud.
I mean, you feel like you can run forever in them. That's for sure. I mean, feel like you're
That's
barefoot.
well, that's what the guy selling shoes there told me. He's like, man, but yeah, I'm dying to see what your review is here in about 6 months.
Oh yeah,
Um, well, Landon, I guess I've probably talked your head off about every subject we can think of. Um, I'd like to get you back on here and stuff. I want to see, how far you end up taking Harker. Uh, but man, now he's the one that you sent me some really great pictures that I posted on my social media, and I give you credit for those, so everybody knows if
oh
they've
yeah,
seen my TikTok or my Instagram or Facebook page. Man, it's beautiful pictures, and we got to talk through you. I got to meet Kenneth Laird, the artist.
yeah,
He's the official artist of Delta Waterfowl,
right.
and I can't wait to see him do your dog.
Yeah, we're trying to come up with some type of. I don't know if we're going to try to get a picture of all of them together or just give him a collaboration of pictures, and he's going to paint all of them, as a group. Um,
Wow.
yeah. So I don't know how he's going to do that, or we might just try to get them all together and get a picture of them. But like I said, getting that cocker to sit still for a picture is is
Yeah.
tough. Is tough.
You might have to sedate it.
Right.
Uh, Man, I forgot this too. I was really impressed, and I found out who the awesome photographer was. It was you.
Yeah.
So, no, seriously, that was some great. I try really hard to take good pictures, and I think I'm doing good. Then I saw your pictures and went, man, I need to go back to school or something. But you did some awesome photography. If that'd be your next side gig.
Yeah. I can't afford another side gig.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, tell me about that. Well,
I got enough for right now.
man, you sent me some. I've had so many people bragging on those pictures you sent me. I mean, I still brag on them, still, commenting on them and stuff. And my youngest son just kind of took control of my TikTok, and he knows how to do all the little hashtags and stuff. So
Right.
it's blowing up. And your pictures, that one, I've used several of your pictures, but one of them, well, they all do well, but one's blowing up too. Um, well, hey, I hopefully me and you'll get to meet in person.
Yeah.
I go to Eastern Kentucky a lot. My kids still there. And I'm home a lot, and I know it's still probably a pretty good haul from you though. But we might be better off trying to meet at one of these trials. I
Yeah,
think
man. Come
I'll
on
go to
out.
West. Yeah, I'm gonna go to Wisconsin. I want to go to that one, and
That's going to be, they said that the Wisconsin grounds are absolutely gorgeous. So,
what part of Wisconsin? I've been up there a lot
uh,
with the
Whistle,
dogs.
Whistle, Wisconsin.
How close is that in reference to like Madison, like the University of Wisconsin town?
That I'm not sure of it. I mean, it's like that southeast corner. And
Like,
we might have another first at that grand.
okay.
My friend Tyler Mize runs a Wirehaired Point and Griffon in HRC, and he's only a few passes away from getting his HRCH on his
Oh,
dog, and he's going to the grand when he gets that dog a finished title.
oh man.
Then that will
Well,
be the first Griffon to ever go to the grand.
now I've been up in that part of Wisconsin, southeast. If you're saying it's southeast, so yeah, no, it'd be cool to see. We might have to get him on there now. Have a new breed to talk
Yeah,
about.
he and I talk, shoot, probably 3 or 4 days a week. but all different kinds of stuff. And I mean, that breed is part of what helps make up long time ago to help make up what is now the German Wirehaired Pointer, Deutsch Drathar, whatever you want to call it. But
Let's discuss that 1 second. So the Drathar, is that how you say that correctly? I've never known how to say that correctly.
I think
Drathar.
if you try to pronounce it in German, it's Drathar.
Okay, like the Jag Terrier is a Yog Terrier.
That's right.
Okay, so let's tell the listeners about that. I think it's interesting. So, what's and genetically, you and I, and DNA wise, know there's no difference. Tell the listeners the difference.
So the Deutsch Drathar registry has their own certain standards. Their bloodlines that, I mean, are the true original bloodlines of the breed.
And that's in Germany, correct? In Germany?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So to have a breeding approved, there's many steps and months of waiting to find out if your breeding is approved. Basically from the local, like your regional breed warding to all the way back to Germany. They have a certain set of standards of height, weight, coat. I mean, if their teeth are, I think could be wrong. I'm pretty sure it's a 2 millimeter leeway. A 2 millimeter overbite, they're out. They can't be bred as a Drathar ever. And they can still be in the registry, but they have to be, if you were to ever breed them, they have to be bred as a German Wirehair.
Wow.
Their standards are extremely strict. I mean, even color. If they throw a white dog, they cannot be a Drathar. The Drathar registry does not recognize the color white.
Same with German Shepherds. I've imported German Shepherds. It's the same thing. That sounds a lot like this too, and you may know some about this, Landon. I tried for about 2 years because I was real into tracking dogs, wanting to game because obviously I need them here at this ranch, but because I've got a hunting ranch.
Right.
But I was just doing it for fun, and I would track for people. Anyway, I was trying to get the long-haired dachshund, the wire-haired dachshund. And there, at that time, there was a lady in Canada that could get them, but they would not release any in the United States. They wouldn't even sell one to you in the United States. So there's very limited ones here, and I don't know if that still exists. This is around 2016, 17, 18. But do you know much about those?
No, I know a little bit about the Teckles, which are very similar. Similar.
Yes.
But that's a vicious little dog.
Yeah, I tell you, I know you've probably been around over in your neck of the woods, but man, I've had some Jag Terriers. I don't know that there's another dog on the planet with hunt drive that high. They're almost feral. Like you can't hardly domestic. You know what I mean? Like they don't want to be petted really. They don't care if you pet them, feed them.
Right.
They're just hunt.
I think they're 100 pounds.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know guys here that try to hog hunt with them in Texas, and you can't because they're just like a kamikaze. They're suicidal. They'll go in and get tusk hit them, and it's over because they don't have no quit. Anyway, they're a neat hunting dog, but you can't make one a household pet. At least if I can't. I don't know. Maybe there's people that can, but mine were hunting dogs.
I mean, if they would ever consider them a retriever, I'd probably dabble in trying to get one through HRC because that's one thing Tracy Hayes always gives me a hard time about. He said the next thing you're going to run will be an Irish Wolfhound. So he's always thinking I'm going to pull something exotic out at a hunt test. So
I'll tell you this: if that jag knows that there's blood, it'll get it. I don't care what it is. I'd like to see. Yeah, I'd like to see it. That'd be cool as heck. Because, like I said, I mean, I can imagine. I've seen high drive dogs in all breeds, but man, those dogs are insane.
They just want to kill something.
Yeah, and they're gamey, like kill anything. But they're funny, but they're just not. They'll never be a lap dog.
No.
So those now. So you just told me something I didn't know. the Drathar, and for lack of me not pronouncing it correctly, in Germany, if they don't make the registry, they also refer to them there as a German Wirehaired pointer. Is that what you were
As
saying?
far as breeding, yes.
Okay.
They
But
can still remain in the registry, but they can't be bred through
with
the
that,
registry.
okay. And then, so no dog in the U.S. that's registered AKC can use that name, that Drathar.
No.
Okay.
So once Harker was registered through the United Kennel Club, and he's also AKC registered now, which was an act of Congress. But the Deutsch Drathar registry only recognizes NAVDA in the States as a registry.
Okay.
Anything outside of that will void your VDD registry.
Wow. So does AKC void it?
AKC will void it. UKC voids it. Field Dog Stud Book, when it was its own entity, that would void it. But so you could have them in NAVDA, and I won't go down that road because
Okay.
I don't test in NAVDA or anything like that. Closest thing I get to NAVDA is my friend Charles, Mr. Geyer that I told you about.
Mm-hmm.
He brought the St. Hubert's field trial from the UK to the United States back in 2022. I think was that. Yeah, I think it was 2022 or 2021 was the first ever St. Hubert's trial here in the United States.
And that's still ongoing.
It is ongoing. Yep.
I'd love to attend that and see that.
Yeah, he's and it's like the best way to describe it is like a practical hunting dog trial. You're limited on shells you can take into the field. You're quizzed on the hunting season, the hunting limits, your dog breed that you're hunting with, your gun that you're hunting with, hunter safety. They're asking you all these questions just walking out into the field. And it doesn't like necessarily diminish your score if you get something wrong. Now you start shooting at birds and missing, your dog's breaking or, goes in on a flush, doesn't make a retrieve, all those things start adding points. Okay. So the lowest score wins.
Okay.
And you and your dog working together in your own style will help you win also. Which ended up being the decisioning factor with Harker and I when we competed in the first trial here in the United States and actually won the pointing championship.
Now, so is that trial any breed or just?
Any hunting breed, yes. Okay. But there's a pointing side and then there's a flushing side. It's like labs, all of that can go compete on the flushing side.
Okay.
Cockers, Brittany's can go either way. And then Boykins, there was Boykins there as well.
I've never heard of that. I know you give me a little bit of talk about it, but I'm just not familiar.
It's a lot of fun.
It was
a lot of fun.
I'll definitely, please keep me in touch with that too. Well, I'm going to get an education this week. I'm flying to England Friday, and I'm going to go to the IGL. It's 3 days, and
ask them about the St. Hubert's. I bet they know about it.
I will, and I'm slowly making friends there. Honestly, it's mostly through the podcast, but I've got some of the big couple people I've like idolized over there and followed are now listeners, and that's so cool to me, because I had one of them message me or two, and well, I've had more than that, but and I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't think you knew who I was. But I'm gonna go over there and get to meet people, and hopefully meet more people and learn. And I honestly, I'd like to see some other breeds over there besides retrievers. They got great springers and cockers, and Now, does the wire-haired and stuff, are they very popular in England? Do you know?
I'm not sure about in England. Germany, Lithuania, Romania, Turkey. Um, Trying to think where else over there. Uh, I mean, basically just rugged country,
Okay.
especially places that have bear and hogs. Um, Now, those overseas, they truly use them. They might go on a upland hunt that morning and go hunt hogs that afternoon. I mean, they're utilized to the T for exactly what they were bred for.
And that's why you got him.
Absolutely. I mean, it is the most versatile breed in the world.
So you got me so interested in that. And I just wonder, do you think it's a very similar to that German long hair I was with?
I mean, from the looks of that, and I read a little bit on it. I can't remember what all they're bred with, but it almost looked like that German long hair was more on the retriever side versus
It looks like to
the
me.
true versatile side.
Okay, I see what you're saying. And to me, every time I looked at that dog, and it's a beautiful dog, obviously, but it looked like it had a spaniel head. The ears, the face, like a Springer, like a Cocker, just bigger. Or
Yeah, it looked like a giant Springer.
yeah, that's what I thought. And there's even some colors. There's some variations, not many. There's like a roan, which they call a shekel or a shimmel or something like that. And
Hmm.
they were gorgeous, but they're just very
It was a
rare.
beautiful dog.
Yeah. Oh
Beautiful
gosh,
dog.
it almost looks majestic. But you got me really interested in learning more about these wire hairs. I mean, I see them all the time. And are they basically the same dog as a short hair pointer, German short hair?
Um, so short hairs were bred into them further, like not not that long ago.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so that's where your whites and your white and livers and stuff like that's coming from. Is when they bred the short hairs back into it. But mostly it's your what is it? It's a German word I can't pronounce. It's like Stichel, something like that, and Poodle Pointer. And
Okay.
then they bred Griffons in, and then they bred the wire hairs, or excuse me, the short hairs in. Short
See,
hairs were the last that was bred into them.
I was completely wrong. I thought that the wire hairs were just a different coat of the German short hair, but that's not the case, is it? Not at
Completely
all.
different breed. Yeah.
Wow, I did not know that. Okay.
So like if you look at a wire hair versus beside of a short hair, even the DKs, which are like the original bloodline of the short hairs, all that good stuff. Um, like a wire hair is going to have a broader nose, a long, bigger snout, way bigger head. Now you get some short hairs is going to have a wide nose, big blocky head, but it's pretty rare.
And
Uh,
so I guess a big difference, and you correct me if I'm wrong, like, so the short hairs are more of a traditional pointy dog,
right.
and your dog is more of a versatile game getter, houndish traits, retriever traits. I mean, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
And most people, I would say in the United States, probably where I'm from, most of everyone uses them. They use them as some upland, but mostly retrievers,
Okay, water,
waterfowl.
really.
Hmm.
Do they seem to take to that as natural as a lab?
I think if you can see any instincts where they're shying away from it early, and then obviously get them in warm water, and they pick right up to it.
Yes.
I mean, one. I've had one wire hair in my training program that we went through forced to water, and he wasn't going
Oh,
to do it.
yeah.
So, and not to say he was a bad dog, but as far as waterfowl goes, he got washed out. Great upland dog,
Yeah.
phenomenal. You know, he just he just don't like water. I mean, there's just like labs. I mean, there's a lab every once in a while hates
Yeah.
water.
Yeah. I've got labs that I usually try to start in a shallow creek, just letting them walk around. I don't ever try to force them. But
Right.
I may have said this on one of the podcasts, but I've got a pup. He's about 6 months now from Ireland, from Keith Matthews, Copper Birch. And
Mm-hmm.
he's a son of a 2023 IGL from Ireland. Ireland IGL, they have a different, right? It's
Right.
smaller. So got him at 10 weeks because that's when you have to get them. And we just beat the deadline, the August 1st deadline. So
Yeah.
anyway, I got him and I'd walked him on a dock at a lake, and I turned around. I heard something splash. He took off and jumped in. Well, I thought, I started putting my phone down. Here goes, start taking my stuff where I thought I was going to go pull him out because the dock's so high he couldn't have, I couldn't have reached him out. And he swam like he'd been swimming all his life. I messaged Keith and I was like, no, never been in the water. He followed me. He followed me all the way down to the bank, and I got him out. Got on a boat, and come back, and he jumped off a boat, and it pitch dark, and he's black. I thought, oh hell, I've lost him. I've lost him. I started calling him. This is a puppy, just barely doesn't hardly know me, barely had time to bond with me, and he swim over there and come out to me again. And now I've never seen a pup, and I've fooled a lot of labs. Never seen one do that. Like just seen the water and just went to it. Couldn't. And when he got in it, he wasn't like just top piling it, like a dog who's not swam before. They'll try to swim with their front feet, don't know what to do with their front feet, don't know they can use their back legs. He swam like, like what's that dude in the Olympics?
Michael Phelps.
Michael Phelps. He looked like Michael Phelps, man. I was like, this is crazy. So I'm really liking that dog.
It sounds like a nice one.
Yeah, he's big and he's real athletic. He actually, if you see him right now, you'd think he's a son of my Floyd dog. That tall and lanky, and I like it. But now Copper Birch is known. They're in Ireland. They're known for producing very athletic retrievers. Very fast, very high drive, very very athletic. And man, he's the epitome of that. We'll see how it comes out, but. Landon, I know I've talked your head off, man, and I could talk to you all night long. That's why I do this podcast. And seriously, I am going to get you to give me some education. I start trying up these higher levels with testing, with my own dogs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. I'm trying to title a Doberman in PSA, which is protection sport. So I'm going to be, overwhelmed. But yes, so let's touch base. Me and you'll talk offline about the crane hunting.
Oh, yeah.
Landon, it's been a pleasure having you, and I'm so glad that you talked to me on Facebook. People like you is why I enjoy what I do, just because I genuinely want to hear what you've got to say, and
Absolutely.
learn. I've learned so much tonight, and that's the beauty of what I do. I learned so much. But hey, you stay dry there in North Carolina. I know y'all had some bad storms there. Did it hit you?
No, I was just a little bit east of the mountains there, so we were in the clear. We had some flooding on the big river, but we stayed pretty clear.
Man, I saw a lot of videos. Me and my daughter had gone to Biltmore in August. My youngest daughter come did a daddy-daughter trip, and she showed me videos of that. Now it's unbelievable.
It's sad.
And Asheville's, that's Western North Carolina. That's what I never would have dreamed.
No,
it'd get over that far. But anyway, man, well, glad you didn't get hurt down there, and we'll keep in touch. But thank you so much for being a guest on here. It's been a pleasure.
Yes, sir.
All right.
I appreciate it. I appreciate the opportunity.
All right. We'll see you.
Thank you.